And now I want to share how I practically work with my shadow self. This guide is inspired by Debbie Ford, author of the book The Dark Sides of the Light Chasers. If you're new to shadow work, I would definitely recommend you guys to read that book. It helped me to get started on my shadow work. And the first step is to name the disowned part. You can do that by journaling and ask yourself, what parts of myself am I ashamed of, afraid of, trying to constantly hide or deny? And that will give you the answer. If you cannot spot that on your own, you can always ask people close to you and ask them to name your negative traits, and you can work with one at a time, okay? For me, it was about being too much, too open, too talkative, too expressive. And I feared that if I showed more of myself to the world, people might misuse it against me. And I started shrinking myself, editing myself, overthinking every word and action. That made me feel unworthy deep within. And that reflected in my actions clearly because I was trying to apply for jobs where I was overqualified for, basically. And someone pointed that out. I was like shocked. And because I was trying to play small, I believed that if I expressed myself authentically, I would be rejected. That became my shadow. When I realized that my bigness wasn't a threat, it was my gift, everything changed. Let me explain how I integrated this shadow self of mine. I wrote down 3 traits that I secretly judged in others. That happened to be too loud, self-promoting, oversharing. That cracked open a truth. I was denying my own light to avoid discomfort. This helped me to stop blaming and judging others and start integrating my shadow self. And the second step is to have a dialogue with your shadow. You can do that by asking, what do you want me to know? How have you been trying to protect me? And how I use this is, I sat in stillness after deep breaths and wrote down as if my being too much self was speaking. Okay, I wrote down, I have only wanted you to connect with others. You are meant to express. I showed up in childhood, but I was shut down. So now I wear a mask to protect you from the rejections. And that's what I wrote, and it softened something within me. And I realized that my fear of being too much wasn't actually bad, that it is safe for me to be myself, and so I can inspire others to do the same. And the third step is to see the gift in your shadow. Ask yourself, what strength or power have I been hiding by rejecting this part of me? Once I stopped labeling being too loud and being too talkative as flaws, I saw them as a gift because communication became my superpower. Connection, storytelling, and my intuitive works flow through my words. My openness, which I feared would make me vulnerable, allowed other people to feel seen and safe to express themselves, which is a beautiful thing, right? Very thing I suppressed became the channel for my purpose. That's the paradox of our shadow. The very thing we suppress, we hide within ourselves, holds the key to our liberation, to our power. Fourth step is to perform rituals to reclaim your shadow self. You can do this by just affirming, I reclaim my right to be bold, my right to be joyful, etc. You can do this by activities through like arts, dancing, music, expressing yourself through words, in any way that you like. How I applied this is by speaking affirmations. I recorded my own voice and I reclaimed my shadow self. I exactly said, I reclaim my power to be too much, my right to speak freely, to be full of light and love. This is what I affirmed. I danced freely without any choreography. I did not care about how I looked. I just danced in my room, allowing my bigness to take up space, allowing myself to take up space. I did mirror work. I spoke affirmations into my mirror also. I started expressing by wearing bold makeup because that gave me confidence and I felt like myself. And to remind myself, this is me and I love myself. And I meditated and I visualized walking into these interview rooms with my whole presence and not apologizing for existing as myself. Reclaiming my shadow self wasn't always comfortable because I had been suppressing myself for so long. When I expressed my shadow self through activities, it was empowering. And each time I expressed myself and honored a part of me that I was denying, I was feeling my whole self. And the fifth step is to manifest from your wholeness. So ask yourself, if I integrated all of me, if I loved and accepted all parts of me, what would I allow myself to receive? So shadow self integration removes the very block in your manifestation and you start aligning perfectly with your desires and start manifesting effortlessly. I integrated this step. I applied this step by visualizing. I visualized my goals with my shadow self included, which means I was integrating the self of me of being too expressive. That is being too talkative. And the version of me that is still healing, and all versions of me existed within the self I was visualizing, my future self. Started saying affirmations like, even if I feel scared, I am worthy. Even if I am imperfect, I am ready. So I started doing this integration by connecting my current state with my shadow self. I know it was working because I started seeing a shift, because I stopped outsourcing opportunities and the offers flowed to me. I wasn't forcing any outcomes. I wasn't trying to prove anything to anyone. I was just expressing, which is my very nature. That's what I did. And manifestation flowed. So I want to end this with the final note that shadow work isn't about excusing harmful behaviors. It is not about accepting or justifying it. It is not about saying that you are as bad as someone else. It is actually about the acknowledgement that under very different circumstances of your life, the potential for all human behaviors exists in each of us. But also, so does the power to choose differently and act consciously. By recognizing and integrating our shadow self, we give permission to not just extend our compassion and love to ourselves that we are constantly judging, but also extend the same compassion and love to others around you. When you recognize that you have the same traits that you judge in others, it dissolves judgment and it frees you in a way, because it invites you to explore the root of that same energy within you, within yourself, not the extreme form. I hope you understand. This work allows you to take back your power by understanding your dark and your light, your full self, so you can choose better. So when you feel uncomfortable of the traits that are within you, don't shame them. Instead, try to understand them and accept them by asking what is the healthy opposite, the polar opposite of this trait, and how can I transform it into something that benefits me and others around me. So shadow work is an ongoing healthy relationship with all of your parts, the good, the bad, the ugly. So it makes you feel real and whole. Every time you embrace more of yourself, your truth, you make space for others to do the same. And don't forget to check out the link in my description to enroll in my course Vision Board Academy. See you all in another video. Bye.